in this age of globalization via internet and all the when the boundaries are virtually could be developing, is there any chance that the energy could be a transportable commodity or exportable commodity from some of the country where there will more solar energy could be produced and could it be exported to some other countries? That's one question. Second question.
Maybe we'll deal with the first question first. And that is it possible that renewable energies could be exported? We already have an export industry for energy.
There's a plan underway to build massive solar plants across northern Africa and transport that energy into Europe. So capture it where the sun is strong. Today, Australia is a fantastic energy exporter. How about this? We use the best solar resource in the world. It's in the north of Western Australia. We develop big solar plants there, and we have an undersea cable going from there to the Indonesian power grid. Just as we do between Tasmania and the mainland. In fact, the distance is shorter to get into the Indonesian grid. We could be the solar power exporting powerhouse of the world.
John, if I could ask a quick follow-up question there. What is the timeline on that solar array in Northern Africa becoming active for Europe and supplying power to Europe?
It's under construction at present. Look, I think the global financial crisis was not helpful in terms of the big investment needed. But the thing about solar is it can be built today. Look at the Royala solar farm. From the time they actually won the tender to the point where they're actually, pulling enough power to power 4,500 Canberra homes was a bit over 18 months. I mean, it's modular, well understood, very easy technology. There is no risk involved, so this is all doable today.
Yeah, I agree with John. There are two approaches for Australia to export its energy. One is via Asia-Pacific solar grid, which is been broadly discussed between Australia, Indonesia, and other countries. This can eventually, in the future, connect Australia to China and benefit from geographical dispersion and demand disturbances in all these countries. But that's an enormous size project, and of course it's not only, mostly not technical reasons, but some political limitation. For example, Indonesians will start thinking, will become dependent on Australian electricity, like in the same way as Europe becomes on Russian gas, right? But this all will be resolved during a political process. Another way for Australia to export its electricity is through so-called solar fuels. Because you have solar energy, it's not necessarily can be converted to electrons. Electrons need to move somewhere, we can put them in the pocket. But they can be converted into fuels, like enriched fuels. And these solar fuels can be exported instead of Australian coal, brown coal. We can in future export our solar fuels. So hydrogen or enriched gases through solar process.
And your second question?
My second question. This is in relation to the public lighting in the streets and say in the buildings. Some of the government buildings, private buildings, they are kept, the lighting is kept on all the time after hours. Yes, there could be a reason for security and safety. But how about street lighting? Is there are there any projects going on which are trying to convert the street lighting into solar or something like?
Yeah, that's quite common solution, and this technology are readily available. It's not a rocket science at all. So this solution is readily available to convert solar lighting to street lighting to solar. It's just a question of investment, and I don't think it's a critical issue to discuss. It's not still not a major consumption demand for energy. Yeah, there's no problem. At ANU, we are gradually moving towards solar lighting, or even if it's electrical grid power lighting, it's controlled by sensor, so lighting turns on only when people are there, and the same as our buildings and libraries.
It's a good example of why the current electricity business model is broken. There is no incentive for the person selling you electricity for you to use less electricity. So that means that the incentives are not aligned. The customer wants to save money and use less. The provider wants you to use as much as possible, and that's why you'll see advertisements on TV today that says energy made fresh, to tell you how excellent energy is and how you should use it. It's all going to be good. So.
So far we've been concentrating on solar and wind, but Andrea in her introduction did mention transport, and this is one area that really concerns me. We know of ethanol. We know that some firms are giving their used oil from cooking to be refined. People talk about plastics being turned into fuel for transport. Now, we haven't addressed that. Possibly it's another very big area, but I would be interested in some comment.
So maybe just a very brief comment from both of you about what the possibilities
Yeah,
are.
clearly we are all talking about electricity, but fuels remains very important area. ACT government has a large program on dealing with waste and waste to energy program, and in particular gasification of waste, when waste can be converted to fuels. Another option is biosolar. I'm not a supporter of biosolar or growing green stuff to convert it to ethanol, because we're competing with food and we're dealing with technology far not as efficient as human man-made solar photovoltaics. If photovoltaics can have efficiency of 20%, any growing and natural photosynthesis efficiency is less than 4%. So why would we do it? It should be used for food, which is actually also very important. Right, but fuels and solar fuels is a critical area, as including solar, for example, concentrated solar and conversion into fuel and gasification of waste. There are many technologies there, lots of developments.
Imagine electric vehicles being powered by renewable energy. That's how we get to 0% transportation really quickly, and that's absolutely achievable, and it'll come quicker than many people are predicting, I think.
Yeah, this airplane is still a problem.
Airplane is a problem.
Yeah, airplane is a problem, and that's why we are working on solar gasification, creating gases or fuels for plane.
All right, we have time for two more questions. Yes, one from you and one from you, and then I think that...
Well, my name is Shiva Khan. I'm a researcher myself as well. But going on with the same theme, is there anything the government is doing with the transport, especially using solar here? Because I know that the technology is already available in UK, which don't even have the sun. So we should be actually marketing that, and we should be actually spending money in research for doing something with solar in cars. We've got a few friends who purchased electric cars, but they seem to be more expensive to buy as compared to our normal, non-renewable source car.
There are literally billions of dollars being spent every year by companies, particularly in China, but also in America, to develop very low-cost, highly energy-dense batteries for electric vehicles. So buses and cars and taxis and so forth. So that is what's driving the innovation. Everybody understands the market opportunity for those people who get it right, and the spin-off is cheap, dense batteries for linking to your solar PV system as well. So definitely the research is underway. It is coming, it is succeeding, but it's on its way. Yeah.
Just a quick point on that. I think wasn't that being built in Canberra? $60 million investment in electric cars and generators. It was from a Jewish startup, Israeli startup. Yeah, and Thorn, I think, didn't make the money in IT. And anyway, they went bankrupt, but they had a very good business model case, I thought. But for some reason, I don't know, a couple of years ago they went under.
Here's an interesting one. A company called BYD. They are a big company, transportation and battery company in China. One of their major shareholders, Warren Buffett. He's the guy who's putting the money in behind this. They are now powering the taxi fleets of several thousand taxis in some major Chinese cities. They have technology for buses. This is coming. I can tell you it's coming. We've spoken to ActuAGL about these things, and you're going to see it sooner than you think.
And one last question.
Hang on, back here. It's here.
Oh, no, he's, yeah, and might be one more question coming from, so we can allow, if it's all yours.
Very quickly, this is from a gentleman who's left, so we'll record the answer for him. It's from Mizan Ahmed, and he's asking, so it's a loaded question, is this government's blatant disregard for science and their support for established business the basis of their approach for renewable energy, in your opinion?
I don't see why you're asking that question. It is. It makes a few assumptions, but please, the panel.
Yes. Yes.
We'll wait and see what the Minister says.
Okay, and we might find that out, or might get some more of an inkling in the next few weeks. One last question, I think, Mohammed.